Giannis Antetokounmpo is about to be traded. Bucks ownership has said publicly that this will finally be resolved this offseason. So here are teams that should be in on Giannis. The Miami Heat should definitely go after Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Heat look like one of the main frontrunners so far, and it makes total sense. This team has certainly seen better days, and bringing a star like Giannis in makes them much more interesting in the East. The current roster right now doesn't have much to like though, so even with Giannis, you'd still have to worry about roster construction, especially when you're bringing in someone who wants to win now. Miami would need to convince him that they can surround him properly. You'd have Bam along with Davion Mitchell, Jamie Jaquez Jr., and maybe Andrew Wiggins and Norman Powell if they're both re-signed. I'd see Tyler Hero being moved in this case along with Khalil Ware and picks, and then after that, you're most likely still active in free agency a bit as well too. They need more shooting after all of that though. So obviously for Giannis, Miami is far from optimal if the goal is to win a championship, but if I'm Miami and I want to be back in the playoffs and be competitive again in the East right now, I gotta at least consider trading for Giannis. Giannis to Boston is very interesting. The question is, do you break up what you already have to add him? You almost certainly have to move off Tatum or Brown to make the money work, which is a massive gamble. In this case, you would think the Celtics would probably move off of Jaylen Brown. Whether or not he's sent to Milwaukee or to a third team in a 3-team deal is up for debate. But a Giannis and Tatum duo would be amazing to watch. I can definitely understand if Celtics fans would rather roll with Brown and Tatum, but man, when a player like Giannis is up for grabs, you gotta at least consider it. Giannis has been the better player, although he is 2 years older with more injury history on top of being in the last year of his deal, so Boston would have to give him an extension with him turning 32 in December. This to me is like Kevin Garnett 2.0. They become an even bigger title contender. It's a bold move, high risk, extremely high reward though. The Portland Trail Blazers are another option for Antetokounmpo. There's interest in Giannis along with the ability to make a compelling offer to Milwaukee. They've been stockpiling picks for years. Shaedon Sharpe is ascending. Scoot Henderson is still developing. You'd have to give up one of them at least though. The pitch to Giannis would be to come in and be the cornerstone of a young team in the West that just made the playoffs. The Bucks could get a ton of first round picks between 2026 and 2030. The problem would still be Giannis turning 32, but that's the risk you take to contend. Giannis and Dame didn't work out in Milwaukee, but with them being back together in this scenario, maybe this time it could work when you have a young all-star in Denny Abdija next to them along with Drew Holiday and Donovan Clingan too. And finally, let's talk about the OKC Thunder. Straight up, for the sake of the rest of the NBA, I honestly hope this does not happen, and it looks like it's heading that way. Reports have said that OKC is out of the race. They're not interested in a Giannis trade, not for Chet Holmgren, not for anyone. Sam Presti looked at this offseason and said they're pretty much good. But let's sit down for a second, because what if the Thunder, for whatever reason, changed their minds? OKC just lost in 7 games to Wembanyama and the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, where Chet Holmgren got exposed. And now Sam Presti is sitting here saying, we're fine, trust the process. And here's my thing. OKC has the draft capital and the young talent to construct a crazy offer for Giannis. Chet Holmgren, picks, another young piece. Milwaukee would listen to that. And Giannis is one of the few players who can physically match up with Wembanyama the way Chet simply hasn't shown the ability to right now. Giannis is 8 years older than Chet Holmgren. He hasn't stayed as healthy, and you'd be disrupting Shea's offense and the overall team chemistry. You know, I understand, I see all that, and I hear it, I get that. But Wemby is 22, and he's only going to get better. And every year you wait, that matchup will only get harder for the Thunder. At the end of the day, if any team can afford to pass on Giannis, it's the OKC Thunder. But oftentimes, passing on a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo because you trust the process is how you end up watching someone else hoisting a trophy. OKC has everything they need to make this move. They've already won a championship. They have a 2-time MVP. But hey, we'll see how it all works out. Comment where you think Giannis Antetokounmpo will end up, and subscribe for more NBA content like this.